Mr Speaker, and that is the quality of the government's opposition today.
Honourable David Parker.
Speaker, there's no way the government can claim vindication from this report. This is another tawdry example of low standards by a government that acts the opposite of what they say they will do. You know, they were elected by when John Key saying, "I expect high standards from my ministers. If they don't meet the standards I set, then obviously I will take action if necessary." Except when it's himself. Except when it's himself. And time after time, we've got low standards from this Prime Minister, whether it's the tea tapes and using the police against the media during the election, whether it's the .com affair where he had brain fades and denied having received information about .com because it was embarrassing the line he was running, or whether it's the spin that he's now putting on this report from the Auditor-General in respect of Sky City. The Auditor-General's office says, "We do not consider the approach adopted was appropriate. The result was that one submitter was treated differently from the others during the evaluation process." And what are the consequences worth? Millions and millions of dollars and terrible, of course, social harm from gambling. Mr Speaker, the Auditor-General's report shows that officials were worried. On the 12th of November, a ministry official emailed the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet summarising where the process was, noting that, and I quote, "Treasury had advised that ministry officials should seek advice from the Auditor-General to determine the probity of the current process with Sky City." Auditor-General says it was emailed to the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet. What does the Prime Minister say today? No record of it being found on their side. That is just not credible, because do you know what? Some days later, we had a personal note sent to the Prime Minister, and I read what the Auditor-General says to this. The Treasury's comments were referred to in a 12 November email from a ministry official to the DPMC and included in a private DPMC briefing note to the Prime Minister on the 3rd of December 2009. What did he do today in respect of asking, well, what about that note? What about that reminder? He obfuscated. He didn't answer the question. He denied effectively taking responsibility for the fact that the officials were worried, the officials were concerned, the officials were warning the ministry, the Treasury had been alerted to it, the Treasury was worried, they raised it to the Prime Minister, DPMC raised it to the Prime Minister again, and still the Prime Minister ignored it, and he pretends he comes here with clean hands. It is just as incredible as his earlier denials of responsibility around involvement in .com, for his refusal to read the other things involving Sky City again on that occasion with Mr Banks in respect of donations saga, plainly illegal. The Prime Minister's not worried about it. It is Banana Republic stuff, as John Armstrong said in the Herald. That is disgraceful conduct. It is the slippery slope towards corruption. And Auckland business people are worried about it. When this happened, before this report came out, I had approaches from amongst the most senior business people in Auckland saying it wasn't fair. It wasn't fair that a secret deal is done with Sky City to show that regulatory holidays are available worth millions and millions of dollars that aren't shown as being potentially available to other tenderers that might be interested, or other people who might be interested in building a convention centre. It is disgraceful cronyism. It's on the back of the Prime Minister having Mr McElrea, his electorate chair on the Broadcasting Commission, also known as New Zealand On Air. It's on the back of the tea-tape saga. No standard is too low for this government. We are sliding towards being a banana republic in respect of these sorts of issues. This is the government that's pretending to have amendments to improve fiscal responsibility when they won't even adhere to the standards of decency and openness and transparency which we have long held to in New Zealand, and which we should strive to uphold every day. Mr Speaker, this sorry saga does not reflect well on the government or the Prime Minister.
Honourable Anne Tolley.
Mr. Speaker, what a fantastic